So this is all about us living where we want to be, despite the circumstances we are. And on the flip side of that thing that you have is another document. Just flip it over there. The thing with the little sort of world in the present. Now read it through. Imagine that you give this to the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in this building. This instruction. So they have to rate the number 1 value in their life, the number 2, the number 3 out of those 10. And they have to write a little thing, not worrying about grammar, syntax, or spelling, about how they might have lived those, or when those were, an event in time where they were important. And then at the bottom, they have to rate how well they've lived those values. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes for 7th, 8th graders to do this. And they get to keep it or put it in an envelope. Now, this intervention takes 15 to 30 minutes. And 4 years later, the number of children who were failing in high school was cut in half. Anybody, by the way, it had no impact on middle class kids. None whatsoever. Didn't hurt them, but didn't help them. But poor, discriminated kids, it made a big difference.
Where was that?
Where was this done? This was, well, first off, this is published in 2 journal articles in Science. That's one of the best scientific journals in the world. About 300 kids were in the study. The kids who got the active ingredient, they did it for themselves. Kids who were in the control condition filled this out and had to rate it how they thought other people would rate these. So they had to do the same type of activity, but not for self, but how they thought everybody else did it. This was done in like inner city Chicago.
The kids that we do it for wouldn't be in the same place because that's the hard part, is finding tomatoes.
Oh, well, yeah, but they actually didn't get it. They actually didn't get it back. Okay, so they could just keep it with them.
Oh, I see.
But it was the fact that 4 years later, this made a difference of 15 minutes of writing this. Does anybody have an idea why doing this might have made a difference to poor kids? Clarification. Go ahead, Jack.
I think it defines values for you. Helps them to experience something that they probably don't experience anywhere else.
They got to experience value. Anybody else have a thought on it?
Well,
Yeah.
I think kids tend to dream that they can accomplish things, but this right here adds a reality to their lives that they thought they could actually.
Maybe it adds a reality, a tangibleness. Now, imagine, so anybody else have a thought about it? Yeah, go ahead.
I teach writing, and writing is a very personal act. And the connection between the hands, what you do in your hands and then connecting it with your mind, I think that really deepens that connection. And by them, the students getting it on paper, it's like they can see it, and then they have ownership of it also because it is theirs.
It's yours.
Yeah.
By the way, 40% of the dopamine system in the brain, that's the reward and goal-setting mechanisms, are innovated through the hand. So, by the way, you've probably heard of that expression, hands-on learning.
Candyland story.
That I was smoking, and he got mad because it was hurting him his lungs right there. So he threw it, and it got on a lollipop and started going.
Is that the one that started on fire?
Yeah, and it got all the way to the bottom, and it got on the fake candy grass.
Looks really cool.